Greetings and welcome back to the gallery with me, the curator and host, Robert Cooper. Here in Troy, New York, we have something called Troy Night Out. It takes place on every last Friday of the month. And what it is downtown, there's a bunch of different activities and there's restaurants and things that people like to visit. There's also several different art galleries that have exhibits, usually starting on Troy Night Out. A few years back, while I was taking in the activities of Troy Night Out, I went to the Photo Center of the Capital Region, of which I'm a member, and I caught a show called Out of Your Control. This exhibit featured photos from a young photographer by the name of Christie Rose. All of the photos in this exhibit were self-portraits, with each photo conveying different emotions, ranging from sadness to isolation, depression, loneliness. Well, at least that's what I got from the exhibit. But they were all beautifully captured. Her use of lighting and her body language combined with her facial expressions captivated the viewer and told the story that she wanted to be told. Now, being that the capital region of New York is only but so big, it was only a matter of time before our paths crossed. We've been in several art workshops at the Art Center of the Capital Region, and we've also had our photos in the same group exhibits from time to time. In that time period, we've become friends. Recently, the two of us worked on a photo project together, which will become a photo mural that will be displayed out in back of the Albany Center Gallery. So stay tuned because I will have more information on that mural in future episodes. But until then, here is my interview with Christie Rose.
My name is Christie Rose. I work mostly with digital photography. I've always been interested in photography, and if you can say, I guess I got started when I was like 10-ish. I bought myself a little point and shoot from Kmart for like $99, and it was my first big purchase, and I was really excited about it. And I used it to just kind of take pictures of things around the farm and my family, and make my little siblings model for me. And then it kind of developed into more than that. My grandma was really good about like record keeping with all the family photos, so I always loved looking through them. And even if I didn't really know the people, I knew a lot of stories based on those photos from what they told me. So I like to kind of go through those and ask questions or make up my own stories based on the photos. Currently, I take photos of whatever I want. I don't like to stick to a one set subject matter. It's kind of, I have a lot of projects going at once. I have my artistic photography, and then I also have my portrait photography, that's the one that kind of makes me more money. But that's creative in its own way, so I like to have different projects going at the same time so I never get bored. I've been working with a few local musicians, and that's been really fun. Because they all have different genres of music, and so again, like learning about their process and listening to their music and trying to kind of evoke the same feeling in the photographs that their music kind of portrays. So I like working with them because then it also like diversifies my portfolio. It's not just like newborn photos or wedding photos, like it's music, and that's such a broad category. So I really enjoy that. I really like to use my subject matter to kind of guide my process when I'm doing portraits of other people. I'll use their kind of like vibe to determine where the location should be. I try to think about ahead of time, having like a cohesive, like building a preset to have the whole series be cohesive, and kind of just spending time with them and talking to them, figuring out what they're looking for, and bringing out their personality, because it is nerve-wracking to have your photograph taken. So trying to figure out like who they really are. There was an exhibit at Mass Mocha from like a bunch of different photographers, and it was just kind of that grungy, like 70s, 80s music vibe. And I liked those because they're not especially like well done necessarily, or like over processed. It's just more the mood and the feelings that they evoked, kind of like laid back, some like party house kind of things, but like just a super casual vibe, like hanging out on a Friday night, listening to music, hanging out with your friends. I like that, and I like that they use that as promotional material as well. So, well, a lot of my more fine art stuff is self-portraiture, and that's the only reason is because I'm the only one that's around when inspiration strikes at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I use myself, and a lot of personal things. It was definitely my like form of therapy for a long time. I would take self-portraits and then kind of do different things with them, manipulate them, put them on canvas, paint over them. So I guess my fine art is kind of like a representation of me in that time. So you can see like how my art series evolved. Like it was also like my personal growth. I like using myself and my own face because it is very vulnerable in kind of processing my trauma or depression or just kind of whatever's going on in my life. And it helps other people to not feel like so alone, like I'm putting it all out there. And it's kind of like people like to read and learn about other people's deep, dark secrets. So they look at that and then they kind of don't feel bad about themselves and the things they're going through. So I like to help people. I never imagined that anyone else would kind of find anything. I just did it for me. But people have told me those things, and that makes me feel like I have more of a purpose than just like self-serving. So I guess I started to incorporate my poetry because I've always written poetry, but I never shared it. And a lot of my work in college, I started to incorporate other kinds of writing, like journal entries and little blurbs and sayings. But using my poetry kind of took it to the next level. And it was really scary because I haven't really shared it with anyone. So including that, I felt like brought it another step, like evolved my work. Also like going back to like the stages of myself and my artwork. Beforehand, I was working with collage and just kind of incorporating little bits. And I oftentimes would use like the paint to cover up the words so they were still there, but no one could read them because I was too scared to show it. So I wanted to get back to more straight photography, but not just have a photo. I wanted something else added to it, but I couldn't figure out what. And then one day I just saw my journal with my poetry and I had a pile of photos and I just kind of put them together, and that's what happened. Out of Your Control was my like senior project. Actually, it was I completed it my junior year, but it was at the photo center my senior year, so that was 2019. Honestly, I felt like this is it, I've peaked. That whole thing coming about was just such a turning point for me in my career, because I got a photo minor from College of St. Rose, but I couldn't be involved in any senior show or anything like that because I was a business major, which is fine, that makes sense, but it was disappointing that all I cared about in college was art. You know, all I've ever cared about was art, but I was a business major. So Nick having me have that show of just my work really made me feel like I am an artist. You know, I didn't have to necessarily get a degree to have people notice that I am putting out work. And it was a really like vulnerable show. Like it was like really scary, but it also pushed me to share more and to be more comfortable with criticism from the community, from people I know. So that was like a really good growing experience. I hate social media. I only do it because I know it's a really great networking tool. But there's just something about seeing it in person that it just, I don't know, it makes it more real, I guess. Like it changes your perspective. I think it's really important to see it in a gallery space because displaying the actual photograph is so important, and how it's displayed, how it's framed, the size of it. Also like working more with like installations. I think that's just so much more powerful than seeing a teeny tiny digital on a screen. But it serves its purpose for other reasons, but I don't find it to be even the same category as going to see something in a gallery. Currently, I have quite a few projects going. One of my bigger projects is a book of poetry slash kind of memoir thing that will have photographs and poems and short stories about my mom that I'm hoping to co-write with her. That's a big one that I've been working on, and that's been in the works for a long time, but now it's actually just kind of putting it all together. My ongoing poetry and photography, I'm hoping to kind of put together some sort of book or zine for that. Current shows I have a piece in the 44th Annual Photography Regional at the Art Center of the Capital Region in Troy. And I have a piece up at 518 Craft. And I have a few pieces up at Cafe Euphoria that have my photography and poetry combo. A kind of huge concept that I've been wanting to do for the past 2 years is coordinating a photo workshop meetup kind of thing. I put together, with the help of many, many talented artists, a kind of video promotional thing where I had someone do the video. I was modeling and shooting. I had a few other photographers with me, and then I had my friend write an original song for the piece. But I want to do a kind of high production group project collaboration thing, and eventually have it be kind of more scheduled and more regular to coordinate a idea, and then get together the models, the photographers, whoever else wants to be involved, makeup artists, and have it be like an organized thing so that we can all get cool photos and whatever we need out of it, but also meet new people and work together on a high production piece. People can find my work on my website at wildrose518.com or on Instagram at wild.rose.arts or on Facebook, Wild Rose Art. Would not let me include the S. Yeah.
Thank you, Christie, for sitting down and talking to me about your photography. Please make sure you check out her work on Instagram, as well as visit her website that she just named in this past interview. And as I said before, when the photo mural is finished, I will definitely have that on a future episode and possibly talk about the process that the two of us did to make this project happen. Once again, you can follow me on Instagram at rcooperphotography. And if you like 35mm film photography, check out R. Cooper Shoots Film. And if you just can't get enough of the gallery on YouTube, You can also check out the gallery on Instagram at rcooperthegallery. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, also hit the like button, and tell all of your friends who are into photography who could care less about what camera to use or how to shoot birds or any of that stupidness that you see on other YouTube channels. And tell them if you want to talk about photography as an art form, come here to the gallery. Thank you. Blessed love.